This mother is crying as gang members surround her. The MC returns home, and the moment he reaches the door he senses danger but pretends to stay calm. Suddenly, a red-haired thug attacks. The MC takes the hit on purpose, grabs his shoulder, and lands a devastating punch. Two more thugs rush in, but he dodges and strikes back, shattering bones with unforgettable force. Then the gang leader steps forward, holding a knife, threatening to kill the MC's father. Before we see what happens next, make sure to like the video and subscribe to Raizel Manhwa so I can bring you more epic stories. Let's jump right in. The room reeked of fear and burning flesh. On the cold floor sat two desperate parents, their voices trembling as they begged for mercy. The father's leg had been pressed with a heated iron, leaving his skin charred and blistered, while the mother clung to hope that seemed all but gone. Their words cracked through the silence, "Please, just give us one more month." But mercy wasn't something their tormentor understood. With the iron still glowing red in his hand, the man sneered down at them, his voice laced with cruelty. He mocked their suffering, claiming that if they had borrowed money they couldn't repay, they should sell their organs instead. According to him, that was the only way to be human. The parents lowered their heads in shame, but the torment didn't stop. Shouting with twisted rage, the man declared that they needed to feel pain too, so they would finally understand what it was like for people who were never repaid. His words were like venom, each one stabbing deeper into their hearts. The mother, trembling yet desperate, clutched her phone, trying to hide it as she typed frantically. She knew there was only one chance left, to warn her son not to return home. Her hands shook, but her hope carried her. Yet before she could send the message, the cruel man noticed. Snatching the phone from her grasp, he scrolled through it with quiet fury. He chuckled darkly, reading her half-finished message. "Don't come home under any circumstances." Then his lips twisted into a psychotic grin. Instead of stopping there, he raised the threat higher, announcing that perhaps, rather than torturing the parents, he should go after their son instead. At that moment, both parents broke down, pleading through tears. "No, not our son." Their voices cracked with despair, but their words only fueled his madness. "Shut him up completely." Barked at his men, pointing toward the father. Rope was quickly wound around his body, gagging his voice until he could barely groan. The bastard sneered, claiming they didn't want to scare the boy when he arrived. And then he smiled coldly, his eyes turning toward the door. "Looks like he's here." The mother's eyes widened in horror. Tears streamed down her face as one of the thugs pressed a hand tightly over her mouth, silencing her cry. The footsteps outside grew louder. The handle turned. The door creaked open. Kang Sun-woo stepped inside. He acted as though nothing was wrong, as if he hadn't noticed the tension in the room. The thugs braced themselves, hiding their weapons, waiting for the right moment. Then, without warning, a man lunged from behind the door, swinging a baseball bat with all his strength. The blow landed with a sickening crack. The sound made his mother weep uncontrollably, her tears falling like heavy rain. To her, it looked unbearable, but Sun-woo didn't crumble. He had taken the strike on purpose, enduring the pain with clenched teeth. His hand shot up, grabbing the attacker's shoulder in an iron grip. Then, with terrifying calmness, Sun-woo delivered a punch, not just a punch, but a devastating blow that shattered the man's face beyond recognition. Gasps filled the room. Even the seasoned thugs froze in shock. The leader staggered back in panic. What is this?" They hadn't realized it yet, but Sun-woo was nothing like his father. He was strong, frighteningly strong. The thugs charged all at once, desperation driving them, but Sun-woo was a storm. He dodged every swing, every stab, and countered with brutal precision. One punch shattered bones, another crushed ribs. When a thug tried to sneak behind him, Sun-woo's kick struck the man's calf so hard it bent unnaturally. Another thug rushed with a chair, smashing it over Sun-woo's back. The wood splintered, the legs snapping off, but Sun-woo stood firm, barely flinching. The attacker stared in disbelief. How could anyone take that hit and still be standing? Sun-woo almost seemed to respect his effort, sending him flying across the room with a single strike that landed right at the feet of the gang leader. The leader, trembling now, grabbed a knife, pointing it towards Sun-woo's parents. "Let's see if this father can still move after being beaten to death," he threatened, desperation bleeding into his voice. But he never got the chance. Sun-woo snatched up the very iron that had scarred his father and pressed it against the leader's face. The man howled in agony as the burning metal scorched his skin. Even the parents looked on in stunned silence, hardly recognizing their own son as he unleashed this terrifying strength. The leader stuck on the door, screaming for help. My neck, call 119. One by one, the remaining thugs fell, Sun-woo dismantling them with relentless fury until none were left standing. His rage didn't fade immediately. His breathing was heavy, his fists still trembling as he turned toward his parents. Slowly, he untied the ropes binding them. His words came out like a bitter curse. "If you didn't want me to fight, you shouldn't have been this poor." And then his body gave out. He collapsed to the ground, unconscious. His mother cried out his name, Sun-woo, Kang Sun-woo, shaking his shoulders desperately, unsure if he was alive. Soon, sirens wailed in the distance and an ambulance arrived, carrying away both Sun-woo and the battered gangsters. At the hospital, chaos erupted. Doctors rushed to treat the injured, most of them gang members, their bodies broken beyond repair. In the hallway, a man wearing glasses calmly observed the scene. Suspicion lingered in his eyes. He turned to a doctor and asked what had happened. The doctor hesitated, then explained. A debtor had been assaulted, his family tortured, and yet the one who took down more than 10 gangsters was a single high school student. The man in glasses could hardly believe it, his expression tightening in disbelief. Nearby, another figure entered the hospital, a blonde-haired subordinate reporting to his boss. He whispered with a twisted smile that the boy, Kang Sun-woo, was also admitted here half dead. The enraged boss ordered Sun-woo killed immediately, but the blonde man smirked, promising that with Black Bear involved, the boy's fate was already sealed. That name echoed ominously. Black Bear. Moments later, a curious man overheard the name and rushed to ask the nearest doctor which room Sun-woo was in. Room 202, she answered nervously. Without wasting a second, the man sprinted down the hall, muttering to himself that if Black Bear was in this area, then this fight might prove whether Sun-woo was a true candidate for something far greater. At last, he reached the door, peeking through the window. On the other side loomed a massive figure, a man 3 times Sun-woo's size, waiting like a beast in the shadows. This was Black Bear. He looked down on the boy, his voice dripping with disdain. He muttered about debts, about his own burdens, and then, narrowing his eyes, he admitted one thing: Sun-woo was interesting. Even after seeing the Black Bear, this boy didn't look afraid. And so, the stage was set. The boy who had already defied death once was about to face a monster unlike anything he had ever seen. The atmosphere inside room 202 had grown unbearably tense. Black Bear's lips curled into a dark grin. His voice rumbled like thunder as he growled, "Then I guess I'll have to teach you what real fear is." Before Sun-woo could react, the giant moved with startling speed. His massive hand swung across the room, slapping Sun-woo as if he were an insect. The sound cracked like a whip, echoing through the walls. Sun-woo's body staggered back, but instead of breaking, his eyes burned with defiance. The man in glasses raised his brows, amazed that the boy was still standing. Black Bear sneered, taunting him further. He mocked Sun-woo for daring to charge head-on without hesitation, warning him that such recklessness only led to death. But Sun-woo, dragging himself back up, clenched his fists and spat back with quiet fury. "You talk a lot for someone who doesn't have anything." The words cut deep. A vein pulsed visibly across Black Bear's temple. His face twisted in annoyance before breaking into uncontrollable laughter. The sound was maniacal, the kind of laugh that promised violence. "Yeah," he roared, "that's what makes killing so damn fun." The man in glasses stiffened. Was this really going to end with murder? He muttered under his breath, thinking he needed to step in. But before he could, Sun-woo surprised everyone. The boy dodged Black Bear's crushing swing with sudden speed and delivered a sharp kick to the giant's neck. The impact reverberated through the room. For a split second, silence followed. Even the watcher was stunned. "I've never seen anyone land a clean hit on Black Bear," he thought. There's no way the so-called physical king could fall to a high schooler. But Black Bear only staggered, his hellish eyes glowing brighter. He roared with rage, spitting through clenched teeth. "Did you really think I'd fall to a mere kid?" Sun-woo didn't stop. Another blow connected, this one carrying real weight. The giant actually winced, blood trickling from his lip. The man in glasses was in disbelief. This didn't make sense. Black Bear, who was untouchable even in the underground world, was being pummeled by a teenager like a heavy bag in a gym. And then in the middle of that chaos, Black Bear smiled. A twisted grin spread across his battered face. His massive arms wrapped around Sun-woo, pulling him into a crushing grip. His booming voice shook the walls. "I'll use my ultimate move against you, the Bone Crusher." The man in glasses froze. He recognized that technique immediately. "No, that's Black Bear's signature move. If he uses that, the boy's bones will shatter. I have to stop this." But it was too late. With horrifying strength, Black Bear squeezed, ribs snapping under the pressure. The sound was sickening, yet Sun-woo didn't collapse. His body resisted. Black Bear's laughter suddenly faltered, confusion flashing across his face. "What, my senses, they're going numb. No, I used my full strength. Why isn't he breaking?" Sun-woo's eyes blazed with raw determination. He pushed back against the giant's grip, defying physics itself. With one swift motion, Sun-woo slammed his forehead into Black Bear's face. The crack echoed like stone striking stone. The giant stumbled. Did he reinforce his bones with metal or something? Black Bear thought in shock, barely able to stay upright. But Sun-woo didn't stop. Again, he crashed his head forward, smashing into the monster's skull. Black Bear reeled back like trash being tossed aside, each strike erasing more of his arrogance. "Stop!" the man in glasses shouted, panic lacing his voice. He's already unconscious, but Sun-woo was beyond reason. He pressed forward, his fury burning too brightly to extinguish. At last, the suspicious man rushed in, trying to calm the situation. He spoke firmly, warning that if things escalated further, cleaning up the aftermath would be troublesome. Then pulling out his phone, he made a chillingly calm call. "Room 202, Building B, head trauma from a car accident. Please handle it." Within minutes, masked individuals entered. They didn't look like doctors, more like clinical experimenters dressed in sterile gear. One of them examined Black Bear's limp body. "It's confirmed," he said coldly. "Shall we wrap this up?" The man in glasses nodded slightly. "Black Bear won't regain consciousness anytime soon. Take him." Sun-woo, battered and barely conscious, could only watch as they carried the unconscious giant away. His voice rasped with suspicion. "Who are you? Are you with these guys too?" The watcher finally revealed his intentions. He wasn't with the thugs. In fact, he was curious about Sun-woo's potential. Calmly, he offered a deal: fight under his command for the one he served, and in return he'd give Sun-woo everything he wanted. But Sun-woo scoffed. Despite his exhaustion, his glare was sharp. He took the red slip of paper handed to him, then tossed it straight into the trash. "I'm not interested in making money through fighting," he muttered coldly. As he turned his back, walking away with slow, heavy steps, he spat one final line. What kind of scam are you trying to pull this time? The man in glasses didn't stop him. He only smirked faintly, whispering to himself as Sun-woo disappeared down the hall. He'll change his mind sooner or later. The fight was over, but the game had only just begun. After the brutal showdown with Black Bear, Sun-woo found a moment of silence in the hospital bathroom. He splashed cold water on his face, staring at his own reflection. The boy who looked back at him didn't feel like a hero or even a fighter. He felt like a mess. Inside, his thoughts churned. Damn, even if my life is a disaster, all I wanted was to at least fulfill Mom's one wish to stay out of fights. And now, look at me. But before he could sink deeper into regret, a familiar voice cut through the quiet. His father. The man who once held the title of boxing champion appeared suddenly, his face lined with years of failure. What are you doing here? Where do you think you're going in that condition? He demanded. Sun-woo snapped back instantly, his frustration boiling over. That condition, and who do you think is responsible for it? His voice was sharp, trembling with barely contained anger. The words spilled like a flood. He reminded his father of his past glory, once a champion boxer, courted by professional gyms, a man with a bright future. But instead of protecting his family, he had done nothing, letting debts pile up until loan sharks came knocking. What's more important? Sun-woo asked bitterly. Your worthless pride as a champion or a sick, fragile wife who needs you? His father didn't argue. He simply replied in a cold, steady tone. Don't even think about leaving. Stay here in the hospital. Then without another word, he walked away. Sun-woo felt his vision blur. His head throbbed painfully. The floor tilted beneath him and he collapsed against the wall, clutching his skull. Ah, my head, what's wrong with me? Is it just exhaustion, or is it because every time I see that man, it feels like something inside me breaks apart? As he lay there, thoughts spiraled. His father, once proud, now broken. A man who brought home barely a week's worth of expenses. A man who bowed to the parents of bullies instead of defending his son. I hate him. I don't want to rely on him for anything. Because if I admit I have to rely on him, it means he thinks he's done enough as a father, and that's unbearable. His life felt like a pit, deeper and darker with every day. No money, no escape, chained to debt, chained to family, chained to bullies who made things worse. I can't leave Mom. I can't even dream of changing my life. Nothing but a high schooler sinking further into hell. The dizziness deepened and Sun-woo blacked out. When he opened his eyes again, something was wrong. He was no longer in the same hospital room. Confusion washed over him. What the wind did they move me? How long have I been lying here? Reaching for his phone, he noticed a new message. It was from his father. Sun-woo, I think it's finally time I tell you everything tonight. Sun-woo's heart sank. Everything? What else has he been hiding? And Mom? What about Mom? He quickly dialed, trying to reach anyone, and finally got through. But instead of comfort, panic poured through the line. Sun-woo, don't go home. Gangsters are waiting there. It's too dangerous. Stay where you are. I moved you under a different hospital name, so you're safe for now. His grip on the phone tightened. And Mom, the voice reassured him quickly. His mother was hiding near a police station, safe in a motel. But before he could ask more, the line cut short. Alone in the silence, Sun-woo trembled. Damn it, it's all because of me. If I hadn't provoked those guys, his guilt burned, pushing him to act. No, I have to find Mom, I have to. But before he could move, another call came. The number was unfamiliar. He answered, and a stranger's voice chilled his blood. You're Mr. Kang's son, right? Your father, he fell unconscious. You'd better come. Sun-woo rushed through sterile corridors until he found the emergency ward. Their doctors spoke grimly about his father's condition. The surgery is extremely difficult. The fees alone exceed 100 million won, and even if he survives, there will be years of costly treatment and rehabilitation. The words crushed him. His knees buckled as tears streamed down his face. He sat helplessly, whispering to himself, what am I supposed to do now? There's nothing left. Then as despair swallowed him, a memory flickered. The business card, the offer he had thrown away in disgust. An offer of money in exchange for fighting, his only chance. He scrambled to his feet, running back to the room where he had discarded it. The trash bin was empty, gone. His last hope vanished. Slamming his fist against the wall, he cursed at himself. Damn it, this is all my fault. I can't even protect my family. I can't do anything. His voice broke, tears falling uncontrollably. It would have been better if I had just died. And then, like a ghost in the night, the man in glasses appeared, calm, composed, holding out something red between his fingers. Are you looking for this? He asked smoothly. The offer you threw away, have you changed your mind? Sun-woo froze, his voice cracked. How much can you even offer? The man smiled faintly, his words sharp and tempting. At least 10 billion won if you win. Even if you don't, as long as you gain popularity, you'll earn more than enough. So, are you coming with us? The number hit Sun-woo like lightning. 10 billion, enough to save his father, to pay for treatment, to lift his family out of ruin. Enough to change everything. He stood there, torn between fear and desperation, as the world tilted once again. The choice was his, and with it, the path to something far darker than he ever imagined. Elsewhere in a dimly lit annex building away from the public's eyes, the conversation turned deadly serious. Papers lay on the table, a contract, and across from Sun-woo sat the man who had been pulling all the strings so far. Calmly, he slid the document forward. Take your time reading it, he said smoothly. Sign when you're ready. Sun-woo's eyes skimmed the first line and his stomach tight. Fighting ward, what the hell is this? The man finally introduced himself with a faint smile. Kim Min-seok, scout. And this, he tapped the paper, is your ticket into an underground tournament. A place where fighters enhanced with monstrous strength by doping drugs tear each other apart. Not for money alone, but for survival. Sun-woo pushed the contract back, shaking his head. I don't do that kind of thing. Kim Min-seok didn't flinch. Instead, he opened a metal case, rows of vials glimmering inside. These aren't simple drugs. Depending on the type, they can transform a frail old man on death's door into something terrifying. Doping isn't mandatory, but he smirked. No one has ever won without it. The thought alone made Seonwoo's skin crawl. Wait, who the hell are you really? Kim leaned back, folding his hands. I already told you, a scout. I represent a VIP who invests heavily in the fighting ward. My job is to find new talent, and you Kang Sun-woo are the most interesting prospect I've seen in years. Still, Sun-woo shook his head, trying to hold firm. I said no, forget it. But Kim kept talking, his words slipping through cracks in Sun-woo's resistance. He explained the mechanics. The top 20 fighters in the tournament earn the right to choose sponsors. With a powerful backer, a fighter could reach the finals and claim a prize of at least 10 billion won. Sun-woo's fists clenched. Forget sponsors, I don't care about all this. Just give me the money up front, that's all I need. Kim clicked his tongue. Oh, that's not how this works. Payment only comes through fighting. Sun-woo's voice cracked with anger. Are you kidding me? Then why should I even deal with you? Kim's smile widened. Because you don't have a choice. You need money for your father's surgery, don't you? For your mother's safety, for the debt collectors breathing down your neck. Sun-woo froze. His blood ran cold. How do you know that? Kim leaned forward. Because while you sit here doubting me, your mother is already safe in a new home. Protected, your father's medical bills paid, the debt collectors pushed away. Do you think any of that happened by coincidence? Sun-woo's phone buzzed in his pocket. He answered quickly, his mother's voice came through. Sun-woo, I heard you already paid for your father's hospital fees and you sent over bodyguards too. Sun-woo's throat tightened. His eyes darted toward Kim Min-seok, who smiled like a predator watching his prey struggle. Ah yeah, mom, those people I sent them. Just do as they say for now. I'll be with you soon. His mother's voice cracked with relief before the line went silent. Sun-woo turned, fury and confusion mixing in his eyes. What's at stake for the prize to be 10 billion won? Why so much? Kim chuckled softly. 10 billion is just the base prize. Depending on how much people bet on you, the winnings climb. One fighter walked away with 15 billion once. Sun-woo muttered under his breath. That's insane. Insane, Kim tilted his head. Compared to the billions wagered, it's pocket change, but understand this, most don't live to spend a single coin. Only 10% of contestants last a tournament without ending up dead or disabled. Sun-woo's eyes widened in disbelief. How the hell do so many people die in secret? Why doesn't anyone talk? Kim's grin sharpened. Because death itself keeps the secret. That's the beauty of the fighting ward. Once you sign this contract, the first thing we do is create a death alibi. Sun-woo's voice cracked. A death alibi, Kim explained with chilling calmness. The hospital is the perfect front. You'll appear on camera in certain locations, make purchases in your own name, enough evidence to prove you died from illness, an accident, or a side effect of drugs. After that, there's no death we can't fabricate. A disappearance. A fall. Even an overdose. Once your alibi is in place, you're legally dead, and a dead man can't report us. The air in the annex grew heavier. Sun-woo's fist shook. And if I report this now? Kim's eyes glimmered. Then you'll vanish before the report is even filed. To the world, you'll be nothing but a deranged addict who overdosed. That's why I tell you all this so freely. Because you already belonged to us the moment you sat down here. The room spun. The walls felt like they were closing in. Kim leaned forward once again, voice soft but deadly. This is your choice, Kang Sun-woo. Most people take days to decide, but you already know the answer. Sign the paper or watch your family crumble. Sun-woo's jaw tightened, eyes burning with rage and desperation. Finally, he slammed his hand against the contract. Fine, but just keep your damn promise. Kim's lips curled into a lunatic smile. Excellent. The door opened. Nurse in white walked in carrying a syringe. Before Sun-woo could react, the needle pierced his skin. He tried to resist, but his strength drained quickly. The world blurred as the sedative took hold. Through hazy vision, he saw Kim's face leaning closer. Don't worry, it's just anesthesia. We'll move you to the arena safely. Remember, Kang Sun-woo, your parents' survival depends on you now. Win and every problem disappears. Lose, he smirked. And you disappear instead. Sun-woo's eyelids grew heavy. His last thought was a silent scream. Am I dead already? When he finally blinked awake, his body felt weightless. He couldn't lift his arms, his legs refused to respond. Two men in white cloth and crimson masks dragged him down a narrow corridor. His voice cracked weakly. Where am I? One of the masked men turned slightly, his voice low and cold. Stay quiet and keep moving. You'll find out soon enough. The words echoed in Sun-woo's ears, colder than steel. The masked man paused, tightening his grip on Sun-woo's arm. This place is hell. And with that, the descent truly began.